What is up, math superstars? So in this edition of Mr. Peterson Presents, I'm bringing to you how to model multiplying and dividing fractions. So first, we're going to start with how to build out our multiplication models of fractions. And so here we're given these fractions here, 1/4 times 2/3. So here's how we can model the solution with this. So in step number one, we're going to use the denominators to draw your array. And so what that means is we're going to take our denominators, 4 by 3, and just like when you did in regular multiplying whole numbers, and you can build out an array to figure out the total number of squares, we can do the same thing using our fractions. So we take our denominators, so we're going to take 4 first. And 4, we're going to draw that as a horizontal line. So we're going to start right here, and we're going to count 4 squares across. 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's go ahead and label that as 4. And now, let's go ahead and use the denominator 3 to go vertically. So we're going to start here at a vertice. And let's go down 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to label that as 3. And we're just going to go finish out this rectangle here. Oops, that's a terrible line. Let's fix that line. You won't see that. I made a mistake. I made a terrible line. I can trace lines. But we do the best we can to go ahead and use our denominators to draw out this array. So here we go. In our next step here, it says we're going to shade in our first fraction vertically. And so we label that as 4. But we only need to shade in 1 out of the 4 columns here. So when we do this, we're going to go ahead, where 4 is going across horizontally. We're just going to shade in 1/4 here. And you can use colored pencils or you can use a pattern. The pattern I'm using here is just slash marks, and you'll see how easy this will look. So right now I just shaded in my first fraction, being 1/4, and I'm going to change the 4 to 1/4 at the top to label that appropriately. So now just to recap steps 1 and 2 here, we drew our array model at 4 and 3. Step 2 was we shaded in 1/4. So 1 out of the 4 are shaded vertically here. And we wrote 1/4 at the top is what we modeled. Finish our lines here so you can see them. Now we need to shade in 2/3. And so the way this will look, let's pick a different color, let's pick red, is now we're going to shade in 2/3 horizontally. So in order to do that, we're going to shade in 1/3 and then 2/3. And we're going to label that side is going to be 2/3. And so here we have successfully modeled 1/4 and we've modeled 2/3. So now, as we can see from our model 1/4 and 2/3, when we've successfully shaded this in, what's going to happen is the numerator, you'll notice that it's the pattern, it's the place where the patterns intersect. And so we can tell that our patterns intersect in 2 places here. So they intersect right here. So our numerator, so the top number of fraction is going to be 2. And then our denominator is going to be the total number of squares that we made. And so we go ahead and count those. So we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the product of 1/4 times 2/3 is 2/12. And then when we're finished, we can go ahead and simplify that to 1/6. And as a good way to check, let's go ahead and do the algorithm here. So we're going to use our equation right here, 1/4 times 2/3, and let's go ahead and do the algorithm. So we're just going to do the steps. So we have 1 times 2 is 2, and 4 times 3 is 12. And so here we can just stop because all we're doing is we're checking to see if our model matches with the algorithm. And it does, and that makes us happy face. So now let's talk about how to model dividing fractions. And so we have a question down here, and this question matches up with our problem. Our problem is 3/4 divided by 1/2. And if we're going to write this out, we can say how many 1/2 pieces go into 3/4. And so here is the way we go ahead and model this. So first step is we're going to go ahead and create common denominators of our fractions here. So our common denominator of 4 and 2 is 4. So we're going to go ahead and rewrite this problem, 3/4 divided by 2/4. So our second step now is we're going to use the model with the common denominators. So we have 3/4 divided by 2/4. We're going to go ahead and draw out a model for both of these fractions and show you how this works. And so let's go ahead, we're going to draw out 3/4. And so you can do this right along with your graph paper here. So we go ahead and we draw out a rectangle that has 4 boxes. And let's go ahead now and shade in 3 of those. So right now we have modeled 3/4. And let's go ahead and model 1/2 using our common denominator is 4. So right underneath of that, so I'm going to skip a space here, and I'm going to model what 1/2 looks like. Pick a different color. I'll pick light blue. And let's go ahead and shade in 1/2. So now the question is, how many 1/2 pieces, so how many of these pieces will fit into the 3/4? And so the way this looks now, so we're using our bottom model to see how many times that will go into our top model. So we notice that this is 2 out of 4 at the bottom. And so what we do is we're going to go ahead and count the 2 boxes. 1, 2, and this is where we're going to draw a little cut line. And we're going to circle this. So this is a 1/2 group. So this, we're going to label this as group 1. And that is 2 out of 2 there. So there's 2 boxes in group 1. Both of them are shaded. Now let's go ahead and now let's count out 2 boxes again. 1, 2. And then we're going to group those. So this is going to be group 2. But we notice with group 2 now, there's only 1 box shaded out of 2. So here we have 2 out of 2 plus 1 out of 2 gives us 3/2, which is equal to 1 1/2 is our answer here. So we can say that 2/4 or 1/2 can go into 3/4 one whole time, with the remainder piece that's left is 1/2. And now we can go ahead and use our algorithm to see if our model actually works. So with our algorithm here, 3/4 divided by 1/2, what we do is we keep our first fraction, we flip our second fraction, and then we go ahead and multiply. So when we do this, we can cross simplify. We always want to practice that. So we can divide by 2 to simplify. And that will equal, after we rewrite both fractions. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So our answer is 3/2 or 1 1/2. And so we can know that our model works because we checked out the algorithm that matches it, and that makes us happiness. Squiggly hair.